Okay, okay. I think I have a moment of breathing room to make this video because maybe by the time this gets released, Andrew Berry has not signed somebody new and I get to do the grades. So let's just call this grades, free agent grades from week 1 of free agency. I don't know if there's more to come. It seems like he has slowed down just a little bit over the weekend, but who knows? They still need to get a pass rush, still need to do a couple of other things. So other moves can be made. So let's talk about week 1 of free agency. Before I do that, I want to make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ding that notification bell so you can be notified when I upload. Also, I want to give a shout out to the patreon.com dog check tier members. And as always, I start with Michael Matique, Rob Farron, Kyle Stouffer, Lukey from Munich, David Roth, J Guy 101, Musty Taco, Joe Bobby, Keith Gerkak, Greedy Shoulder Gemini, Brad Calbo, Daylon W, James McGinty, Arenda Hall, Rex Kaufman, Chad Gimme, David Molinado, Andrew Sadejo, Dylan Hill, Matthew, Josh Bendor, Eric Green, Jaleel Salim Jr., Martha Krusna, Mark M, TJ Showman, Stuart Moore, Bobo Regretti, Anthony O, David Arndt, Robert Jermaine Jr., Dave Mike May, John Cummings, Yo-Yo, Fight 3074, Andrew Hirsch, Hundo Magnifico, Paul Wilcox, Curtis Bayer, Batman, Rush Sharir, Barack Kumar, John Alver, Beerman 069, Masayua, Buds of Roland, James Nemo, Mac House, Reeve Hertz, Philip Wilcoxon, Marie Vivert, CK, Keith Anderson, Sean Barron, Gagos Pisano, Dom Guzzulo, Nick Nasty, Most Dangerous Man in Cleveland, DJ Marino V, Cleveland Carp, Cleveland BCI, Ian Whitaker, Colin 216, Anthony Latham, Christian, Matt Bond, Dave Strong, Michael Stone, Soul Train, Charles Work, Billy, Michael Hodenack, Moose Gentry, Austin Z, Mark Burnett II, Andre Griffin, Otis Wolf, IT Rex, Greg Ehlers, Austin Bolin, Jesus Serrano, Chris Fones, Picktown Brown Backers, Liam Freeman, Matt Lloyd, Mark Kahn, Max Out Dojo, and Water Bear Marketing. Again, guys, thank you so much for your support, whether it be on YouTube, Twitter, wherever you help me out, wherever you support me. I appreciate you for that. Now let's talk about week 1 of free agency and give this some grades. So the way this is going to work is that I'm going to go over each player, give them a grade, and go over some of the reasons I believe that grade should be what it is. If you want more in-depth analysis on what I think of the signing overall, you're going to want to check out the videos I have done for each of these individual signings. Everybody in this video has had a video where they were covered more extensively. So this is going to be kind of a brief overview, all-in-one kind of video of my thoughts on some of these guys and the overall grade I've given them since I had a few days to kind of think about what they have done in free agency and what this means for the team going forward. And I'm going to start with John Johnson III, and this is an obvious A to me. I think this is a really good signing that Andrew Berry was able to start free agency out with. You get a player who plays a coveted position, safety, who's 26 years old, still has probably his better years ahead of him, relatively healthy when it comes to his injury history, and you're able to get him under market value. I mean, this is somebody who a lot of people were projecting would get $14, $15 million a year, kind of your standard contract in the open market. The Browns were able to get him at about $11 million a year, which obviously could not have been the biggest offer on the table for him. So they were able to convince him to take less money. They were able to get him at less money, which freed them up to make a lot more signings. So all of that considered, his versatility, this is somebody who could play nickel, outside corner, safety, whatever really you need him to. He can even play a little bit of Mike linebacker if you really wanted to. He can do all of those things. He's extremely versatile. He's obviously an upgrade from Andrew Sadejo. And he's somebody, when you add him in that combination of Ronnie Harrison with Grant Delpit, you know, there's just a plethora of things that they can do. It's very exciting for the defense to see what they can do, adding somebody the caliber of John Johnson III. So this is an obvious A. Great signing. Hopefully it works out. He has good years here in Cleveland, but if he plays anything like he did in LA, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. I mean, this is a guy who was the green dot on a defense, the leader of a defense that had Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, all those star players. You know, now he's coming into a situation instead of Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, it's Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward. So it's good to know that this is a guy who can get the respect of star players in the NFL, to get them to respect his play calling and alignment skills, because, this is what he's going to have to do here. And you can't just put anybody back there and ask them to tell Myles Garrett where to line up or tell Denzel Ward where to line up. Now that you have somebody who has done that with Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey, it's going to be a lot easier to get guys to follow him. So a great signing for multiple reasons. This was one that I did not expect the Browns would be able to do. I thought the money would be too high and the years would be too long, but Andrew Berry figured it out. Hats off to him. Next guy, Takk McKinley. I'm going to give this signing a grade of B, and here's why it's not going to be an A. I like him. He's an interesting young player, but my biggest issue with him is that he's a project. And he's a project that can work out, right? Shaq Barrett at one point was a project for Tampa Bay. But he's a project that's going to be put in a position of need, right? You're putting this guy in a position where you kind of need production out of him, but you just don't know if that production's coming. I mean, it's been 2 years since this guy has been productive as a defensive end. And there are reasons for that. It's just I would have liked there to be a signing that has more of a resume of being more productive to fill that role opposite of Myles Garrett. But that being said, there's a lot I like about Takk McKinley. I mean, look, if you're trying to find the next Shaq Barrett, this is a great candidate. He has a great motor. He has great athleticism. Some of the issues with him are about whether he's coachable or whether you can kind of get to him, because even in the combine, if you watch his combine tapes, he has weird things where he doesn't follow instructions well for the combine drills. And that seems to be something that has followed him throughout his NFL career, where he doesn't follow instructions quite to the T, which is why he was in the doghouse with the coaching staff there with the Falcons. That being said, though, if you can get him under control and kind of harness that energy, that motor, and that athleticism, you have something there that will be really effective when it comes to being opposite of Myles Garrett, because sometimes what you need from the guy that's next to on the other side of Myles Garrett isn't the best pass rusher in the world, but somebody who's athletic enough to be able to handle if the quarterback bounces outside in the direction to be able to wrap him up. Some of the times what we saw with Olivier Vernon was that he was just not a great athlete. So when quarterbacks would flee out to his side of the pocket, he wasn't able to kind of scoop them up and take advantage of the pressure that Myles Garrett was creating. Now that you have that with the secondary additions, it's going to be interesting to see how Takk produces in this role. The couple of years where he had a good opposite pass rusher in Vic Beasley, he did produce well. So again, there's reasons to believe that he could be the next Shaq Barrett. It's just I would wish the gamble wasn't being taken at that position, which is why I'm going to give that a grade of B. Also, you have here re-signing Rashard Higgins. Huge deal that they re-signed Rashard Higgins. Rashard Higgins gives you that flexibility, right? You talk about versatility for the defense. You want to have the same thing for the offense. And this Browns offense is very flexible. It's very versatile, especially when they have Odell Beckham in there, because you just have multiple ways you can attack. You saw that at the end of the season, they were able to do 5 wide. They were able to attack out the shotgun. We know what they can do with 2 or 3 tight ends on the field. We know this team can run the ball at an elite level. They can do the play action pass. They can do the shotgun. And this is going to be another wrinkle they can add to it. Rashard Higgins allows that to happen, right? You could put Odell or Jarvis in the slot and keep Rashard Higgins out wide where he's at his best, right? He's an X or Y receiver in that respect. So you can have that added depth, not have to rely on Jarvis and Odell always being on the outside. You can move them inside with more reliability while still having an option in Rashard Higgins, in Donovan Peoples-Jones, in Kadero Hodge. You have those depth pieces there that can be on the outside, so you can move around Odell and Jarvis wherever you want. And I'm interested to see what Kevin Stefanski does with that, because again, Jarvis and Odell are guys you want to move around to get the best matchup possible, to get the most out of them. They're not like these 6'5" Megatron-like wide receivers where you just put them outside, tell them to go, and you could throw the ball up to. You want to get them in right positions for mismatches. They get the ball in their hands with any kind of space. It's almost, it could be a touchdown at any moment. So with that being the skill set of your 2 best wide receivers, keeping pieces like Donovan Peoples-Jones, like Rashard Higgins, are key to being able to make sure you can have that flexibility to move your best receivers around. And we saw how that kind of got affected when you didn't have these guys in some parts of the season. Another thing that they did was Malcolm Smith, and this is another versatility thing. This is a guy who is a top 10 coverage linebacker, somebody you can put on a bigger tight end, maybe not the most athletic tight ends, but your bigger tight ends out there, he can cover them pretty well. This is somebody who helps out in the run game, was your best linebacker last season. You brought him back under a good number, so that's good to know, and you added that on top of some other signings, so you're at a good place when it comes to linebacker. I love re-signing Malcolm Smith, especially where they got him. I didn't think they would be able to get Malcolm Smith and Rashard Higgins both back here and then add a ton in free agency, but they were able to do that. It's going to get an A here too. Then they signed Troy Hill, the slot corner out of LA, and boy, this is a great signing. You get somebody who's kind of coming on a return home deal. He's a Youngstown native. You got him at a good number, a good team-friendly deal, and you're getting a big upgrade at the slot corner position. I mean, that was a big problem area for this team, was the slot corner. A lot of teams took advantage of that. Pittsburgh took a ton of advantage of that. Juju Smith-Schuster had like 200, 300 yards against the Browns this year. So that was a real position of need that they needed to fill. And they got a guy here who can play inside, can play outside, but he's primarily going to play inside. He's a much better, more reliable version of a guy that you could have got at a similar number in Desmond King, who would have been more of a gamble because he hasn't been productive. Troy Hill has been productive and good the last few years. He's still young enough to be better than he was in years past. So he's on an upward trajectory. So again, a great A+ signing here by Andrew Berry. Then you have a signing that is kind of a sleeper, but I think it's my favorite signing so far, and that is Malik Jackson, the defensive tackle from Philadelphia that the Browns are able to sign at a good number as well. And I'm going to give this one an A, and here's why. I love this signing because if you watch me for any number of years here, and it's been a while, I've been complaining about the lack of size and length on the inside of this defensive line when you have Sheldon Richardson and you have Larry Ogunjobi out there. Now, Sheldon Richardson is a big enough guy. He's more of a pass rushing focused defensive tackle, but you know, the same thing can be said for Larry Ogunjobi, who was not a huge guy, right? He was 6 foot, didn't have the length, and that became an issue when it came to the shotgun run or any run up the middle. It was a thorn in the Browns' side. Go back and watch the Jacksonville game. It was a problem all year for this team, and now you're bringing in somebody who I think can really help with that, along with Andrew Billings, who's going to be a bigger body in here. You get Malik Jackson, who's not heavier than Larry Ogunjobi, but he's much longer than Larry Ogunjobi, and I think length kind of matters a little bit more than weight in this situation, so I like his weight. I like his versatility too. This is somebody who was a defensive end on one of the best teams in football at a time. So, you know, this is somebody who can be a edge rusher if you need him to be. He's a little heavy for that now, but you can still do it in some run heavy situations. There's a lot you can do with Malik Jackson. He's an upgrade at that defensive tackle spot. And I don't think he has more potential, obviously, than Larry Ogunjobi, but I do think at this point in time, he's a better fit for this defense and he is an upgrade. I really like the signing. I like what Andrew Berry did here. I'm going to give this an A. And the last guy that the Browns have signed before I have recorded this video is Anthony Walker, replaces B.J. Goodson, another really good, smart player. And again, they're filling this defense up with really good, really smart, really hungry players here. And one thing that's interesting to note, right, we talked about this during the 2020 season, was that the Browns were really lacking green dots on the defense, right? They didn't really know who the green dot was going into the season. It couldn't be Malcolm Smith because he had only been with the team 2 weeks before the season had started. B.J. Goodson hadn't been out there a lot, but maybe you had to make him out there because he was going to be the guy that took the most snaps. Grant Delpit, who could have been the green dot, couldn't be because he tore his Achilles. Ronnie Harrison, who you wanted to probably take over some green dot responsibilities because he did some of that in Jacksonville, could not do it because, again, he had just got traded to the team. So going into the season, you really didn't have a green dot on this team. Even with when Ronnie Harrison got acclimated, he was able to help with alignment. And you saw the difference, right? When Ronnie Harrison was on the field and when he wasn't, the alignment issues just kind of multiplied by 10. And now you're in a situation to where the Browns have 3 guys now who can be the green dot. You got Josh Johnson, who has done it before with the best defense in football with the Rams, who was a green dot. Ronnie Harrison can definitely get everybody aligned. And Anthony Walker is another guy who can get everybody aligned. And I think this is kind of rectifying one of the biggest problems with the Browns defense last year wasn't that they weren't talented. Now, talent did come into an effect at the end of the season when all of their DBs went down. But it wasn't just that the team wasn't talented. I think they were more talented than they made themselves look at times. It was the fact that they just could not properly get aligned for a lot of the part of the for the most part of the season, and it ended up biting them in the butt. Just a ton of blown coverages, people not knowing where to be, people not filling their spaces, people not being responsible, and it kind of blew up the zone that they were trying to run. And now that you have 3 guys on each level of the field, now that you have 3 guys who can make sure that everybody's line can fix those problems and be great communicators on defense, that's going to make a whole world of difference, right? The talent is obviously going to make a world of difference, but just having that on the field is going to make a world of difference. And that's why I just love what the Browns have done here. And Anthony Walker is going to get an A grade from me. But that's why I love what Andrew Berry has done here. It was very pointed and specific in how he wanted to fix this defense and what he was prioritizing. And that's what you like to see. There is a clear semblance of a plan that they want to do here. And I agree with the plan. I like the plan. Now, I wish they were more aggressive at pass rusher. Who knows? There's still some moves that can be made there. But at the end of the day, just looking at what they have done now, if they start the season with this and some draft picks, I'm happy with where the defense is at. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. What would you grade these free agent signings? Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day. Have a good night.